All right, let's head up the hill. Come on. So we're doing a lot of territorial boundary reinforcing right here. This is kind of a popular section of trail here that we walk on, and so there's a lot of trespassing dog scent. And so both Akutak here and Iknik are really trying to blot that out and post their own warnings here. You can hear Sonny and Mooney singing their saddest song because they're not with me here. We're only about a third of a mile from our property line here in the woods, and that's well within communication distance. Grasses are starting to be nice and succulent now, which is this time of year that's a interesting dietary addition that they like to make, is consuming grasses. If you're curious about that, we'll talk about I talk about that in my video that's in this channel called Taking the Wolves to the Salad Bar. Certainly an interesting behavior. This time of year we also got these really pretty, they're called snow flowers. They're actually not a flower. They're a fungus that has a symbiotic relationship to these pines. This is one of them. When they first erupt, they kind of look like little dragon's eggs. They're really cool. And they only grow in proximity to these pines here. And they bloom now for a short time. And then they're over. They dry up, they turn brown. And they're over for the season, till the next season when the fruiting body erupts again. The people up here mistakenly try to clear the soil away from them like this here, which actually doesn't facilitate their growth. It causes them to ripen prematurely. It's kind of like popping a cocoon open and failing the butterfly, because you've eliminated the process by which they pump fluid into their wings. It's the slow eruption from under the soil layer which allows them to develop fully. But you just can't fix the misguided attempts of people to monkey with the natural process. Anyway, Pewy is really making sure everybody knows that we're here. That's her job. Her territorial boundary reinforcement. Being out with my two big kids is the most challenging, just because the highest intensity and obviously the greatest power, since he's worth 2 of any other animal, and is just wild animal strong. Is just a different kind of strong. Anyhow, I was see, here we go again, these people. I don't understand why they do that. Anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about Cody Roberts and Daniel, Wyoming. And for those of you that are tuned into me, but really less tuned into the news coming out of the wildlife advocacy community. So the Hogs for Hope rally, which was organized by Jonas Black and a bunch of other organizers behind the scenes that helped make it a success. Raised, I think, over $130,000 for Wolves of the Rockies and Wyoming Wildlife Advocates, which is, I'm sure, some of the largest single fundraising haul they've ever seen. And it's great because they do super important work. They're going to focus that work on a legislative approach to changing the laws in Wyoming and preventing some of the cruelty that was on display in the Green River Bar, and which has been going on for many years but not on display. And hopefully the additional funding will support those efforts in such a way that we are able to actually mandate some change. I think that we have some good momentum there, and I'm hopeful that with a new lobbyist and some other more savvy political chops, we'll actually be able to position wildlife advocates to have a seat at the table of some of these decisions, and that will support better, more humane management of wolves and other species like coyotes and mountain lions, and prevent the premature delisting of grizzly bears. But, and here's the crux of the rest of what I was going to talk about today, is that the original intention of the rally was to stop in front of the Green River Bar and Tavern where this atrocity took place. And this is sort of shocking. It'll probably rise to some prominence in national and regional media. The residents of Daniel, as opposed to embracing a message of coexistence and abhorrence of wildlife cruelty, instead, and it's shocking, but this is what they did. I mean, it just shows you the mentality of people in some places. They lined the roads through the middle of town, including in front of the Green River Tavern, with cattle trailers, such that there was no way to get to the tavern where they intended to deliver the funds to these organizations right in front of the taverns. They also blocked off access to all of the public parking in the town and created such a dangerous and unpleasant situation that the entire rally had to simply go through town and stop on the outskirts of town to deliver the funds and talk to the press that was there. The police appeared to be somewhat complicit with the residents of Daniel, and that rather than allow the Hogs for Hope rally to exercise their First Amendment rights, they basically sort of intimidated the rally and escorted them through town without allowing them to stop, which on the one hand is shocking and on the other hand is somewhat unsurprising. But the other thing that occurred was that some resident of Daniel killed a juvenile coyote, taped its mouth shut, and left it in the road on the way to town so that the rally would come across it, which was obviously a message of intimidation and also disregard for the rights of other sentient beings. There is video of this out on TikTok. I don't have any interest in sharing any of this gruesome video. I see enough awful stuff in my life as it is, but I might locate a link or two if people want to check it out and pop those down in the description. But think about this for a second. An entire town. And now, to be fair, it's a town of 108 people, and they, I think, are all related to each other, which is not a good thing, I guess. You probably shouldn't be related directly to everyone in a town. But anyway, they all came out in support of a wildlife abuser and in felony animal cruelty. So that ought to tell you everything you need to know about the community of Daniel, Wyoming, and the authorities that provide enforcement of law there, since it's pretty clear that there's a different class of people there that, for whatever reason, seem to be able to act lawlessly. And this will certainly go towards additional investigation of public corruption, because clearly there's public corruption. And the videos of the rally passing through town, they're heckling the rally, they're threatening the participants in the rally. But to manifest overt hostility to people that are simply advocating for humane treatment of wildlife is, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, is that common in other parts of the world? I have not encountered an entire community that stood up on behalf of somebody who is generally recognized as a lawless individual who gets in fights, who has multiple DUIs, who has numerous felonies on his record, which we've examined. And the townspeople are standing up for this guy. So what that says about Daniel, Wyoming is nothing good. Nothing good. The problem for these people... Can we go around the tree this way? Thank you. You guys are on either side of the tree for a sec. They're very smart about a rope, incidentally. They understand they need to be on the same side as me. And the only time they ever get like that is if they're not paying attention, but then they notice and they fix it. So the problem for the people of Daniel, beyond just making them look like cretins and savages and people who support the most abhorrent among us, is that rather than cause this to die, it's probably given it more life and momentum. It seems like there are now more people taking an interest. Oh, check it out. Hold on. See, this is why I love to be out here. We got a juvenile bear just checking us out. And see that little lip smack in there? That just says, I'm a little nervous. And we're going to certainly not antagonize the bear. My guys will notice a bear, but they're not overly concerned. Now, this bear is right at that age where it could either be a bear all by him or herself. Oh no, definitely not a bear by himself. Okay, so gotta look here. Where is it there? I'm gonna zoom. Big tree. There it is. There's the other juvenile bear. And if there's two together and they're that age, that means mom is also over here. Okay, so there goes one running off, getting a little distance. My guys are squeaking. Now these are black bears, even though they're not black, they're kind of a brownish color. And they will most definitely run up a tree if they get scared. And I work with bears regularly because I'm a volunteer and a board member for something called the Bear League. All right. Oh, there's three. Okay, 3 cubs. So I think I know that mom. Those guys are a little excited. So I'm a board member and a volunteer for the Bear League, which is a bear coexistence organization, a really excellent group of people here in my area. And one of the things we do is we help local residents deal with the occasional incursion of bears under their homes. Bears like to get under crawl spaces because it's a good place to hang out, especially in the winter. And so when you got a recalcitrant bear in a crawl space, I'm the guy they call the crawl in the crawl space with the bear, one of a couple of us. Oh no, here's the other one right here. That appears to be mom. She's used to us. She's not afraid. These are what I would call quasi-urban bears, in that they're used to being in close proximity to people, and so they're not unduly bothered by us. And we're moving on because I really strive to not disturb the wildlife. It's hard enough to be a wild animal anywhere, and so I always take steps to make sure my presence doesn't make their lives any more difficult or stressful. That was kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, those are not aggressive bears. I've never felt threatened by one of those bears, with or without a dog. Although certainly the biggest risk of those bears to someone like me is when we go in the backcountry and we're camping and they want to steal our food cache. Up here, we're required to carry bear vaults and stash those away from our camp. But since I'm always in the backcountry with an animal like her or him or a Malamute, I'm the last campsite on earth a bear is going to enter. I follow the rules anyway, and it's a hassle to carry all the extra weight of a bear vault when you're out for like 4 or 5 days of self-supported backcountry action with wolves. Because when I'm with these guys, obviously I've got to carry their food too, and they eat a couple of pounds a day, and it's meat, and so it's heavy. I try to give them a freeze-dried thing sometimes, but they're definitely not as keen on that as if I'm packing elk steaks. Anyway, back to the Daniel, Wyoming. Sorry, a little distraction of the bears was cool. I always love to see our native wildlife, and that's why I live in a wild place. But the turn of events has certainly galvanized probably more interest, more support. There were some announcements about the rally continuing on potentially into DC. It appears that some major documentarians and filmmakers associated with some A-list celebrities have taken an interest, and so we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. But it's just tragic that this poor little wolf was tortured, and that the people of that town are so unwell as a group that, as opposed to being horrified and condemning the behavior, they are in support of it. And by the way, for people tuning into this who might actually be in that area, and maybe even people who are aghast at what happened, but a little intimidated by the rest of the people in that town, which certainly I can't blame you because they seem to be horrible people. But if you have inside information, if you know anything, if you have more footage of the events of the night in the bar, it would be great if you would share those with me. You can message me. I am at OWSTARR on Twitter, and you can direct message me if you have some information that you think might be helpful in an investigation for my journalistic efforts in that regard. And just know that as a journalist, I was a very active journalist about 15, 20 years ago, and now I mainly do rare freelance stuff when it interests me, but I understand the importance of keeping sources confidential, and certainly in a situation where you might be at risk for sharing that information, you can count on confidentiality if you have insights. I would really appreciate it. We would like to expose the deeper level of corruption within that community, and most particularly within the law enforcement and state and federal fish and game agencies there, because it appears that there is legitimate corruption there, and if we can document it, that would help us to force a change in one way or another. So anyway, that's kind of it for this evening. Plus, it's starting to get dark out here, and I don't know what the quality of my video becomes when it gets dark, since I have the phone turned away from myself. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, questions, comments, ideas, requests for other kinds of videos, and particularly if you're interested in wolf behavior and you have questions about that. Obviously, that's my passion. I would love to share more with you of what I know, what I do, what I see, and yeah. So yay wolves, and let's hopefully I can motivate more people who are interested to work with me to support change. So with that, Oliver the Wolf Guy tuning out, And we'll close with these guys enjoying our evening patrol. A lot of sniffing.